FRA.org. Let us vote for FRA.org. You can find out all about it.
Okay. Let us vote for FRA.org. Check that out. And can people put some pressure and get involved? I mean, is it something where, hey, if we as citizens get involved and financially put monies there to create greater bandwidth? I don't know. What does that look like as far as how can the citizens get involved to help in this fight?
Well, they can get involved two ways. They can help financially, obviously, but they also can help by contacting their elected representatives, making sure that they're focused on this issue. And if they're not focused on the issue, vote for somebody who is.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Michael, the first three words of the Constitution are the most important, and they need to come alive. And those first three words, as you know, are we the people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody's talking today about the House. Not your house, not my house, but the Speaker of the House is in a place where he is, he is permanently on the golf course. So the question is, what does that look like? I mean, we got stuff going on with Israel. There's war there and things like that. And obviously that's something we'll talk about in just a minute and how that connects with things. But what are your thoughts as far as the ousting of the Speaker and the disarray? I mean, I think we'd all would agree, the approval ratings of Congress and the Senate have been low for a long time. But what are your thoughts how does this affect where we are currently as a government?
Well, first, I'm very disappointed with regard to what happened. Reasonable people can differ on whether Kevin McCarthy is the right person to be Speaker of the House or not. Long-standing tradition, which is even acknowledged by Nancy Pelosi, is the majority party, no matter what the margin is, should pick the Speaker. I thought, quite frankly, that what would end up happening is that some Democrats would end up voting to table the motion, and therefore McCarthy would stay in as Speaker. But McCarthy went on television the day before the issue came up and basically blamed the Democrats for certain things that I think inflamed them and caused them not to want to table the issue. But now you've got a situation of, all right, what's going to happen? You've got two announced candidates, Jim Jordan, who's very conservative, capable but very conservative, and Steve Scalise, who's the majority leader, the number two person, who has had some health challenges but is dealing with those now. And you've also had some comments by McCarthy about, that would lead you to believe that he might be interested in throwing his hat back in the ring. Bottom line is, I hope that we get this resolved this week. The Republicans met last night. They're meeting again today. They say that they're going to have a vote tomorrow, but I don't think they're going to want to have a vote unless they know that somebody can prevail. And, we'll just have to wait and see. We need to get this resolved. It's not just with regard to what's going on in Israel. It's not just what's going on with regard to Ukraine. It's also the border. It's also the continuing resolution that expires in the middle of November. We need stability. The people need stability. The markets need stability. And hopefully we'll get that done sooner rather than later.
So let me ask you this question, Dave. For those that are not really familiar with the governmental structure and how it works, and they think about the Speaker, right? It's pretty much all they're hearing is from a news clip or a report that they're reading in a paper or something like that. But they really don't know, okay, I've heard of the Speaker of the House. Nancy was for a little while. Like, what does the Speaker of the House do? Because you got all these people in Congress and all these people in Senate. Obviously, we're talking about Congress here. But at the end of the day, what is the benefit of having the Speaker? How much chaos really does it create for them to not be able to do their day-to-day job? From a layman's term, how would you present that to folks that are watching this to say, this is why having a Speaker is important? Obviously, we need it, but from your perspective, in layman's terms, how would you articulate that?
First, the Speaker is the third highest ranking person in the federal government. Number one is the President. Number two is the Vice President. Number three is Speaker of the House. So if something happened to the President and the Vice President, the Speaker of the House would become President of the United States. Secondly, the Speaker controls what happens in the House. The Speaker controls who are committee chairs. The Speaker controls what bills get considered. The Speaker has great influence on whether and to what extent there's going to be debate, how long there's going to be debate, whether or not amendments are going to be offered, and if so, how many through the Rules Committee. So the House basically can't operate without the person who is in charge of the House. And the person who's in charge of the House is the Speaker of the House.
Yeah, that's a big deal. So we got to make sure that that's fixed. All right, let's transition and talk about Israel. Everybody's talking about that recently, all the stuff happening there and the rockets and the war that's kind of ongoing or in the process of. What are your thoughts there as far as how that affects? I mean, there's always been, the Middle East and Israel, there's always been, from biblical times, gosh, there's been a desire to overthrow and overtake Israel. This has been going on for a long, long time, God's people, if you will. And what are your thoughts now in 2023, the effect globally, domestically, that this type of action, this type of war is having or will have on where we are fiscally and the world?
Well, as I mentioned before, there's an alliance against U.S. interest, by China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And in many cases, they don't work directly. They work through proxies. And such is the case in the Middle East with Hamas and with Hezbollah. Hamas is Sunni, Hezbollah is Shia, Iran is Shia, but their common desire is to eliminate Israel as a nation. My view is that based upon what's happened in the last few days, the answer is fairly simple. You neutralize Hamas and you penalize Iran. There's absolutely no question that Iran is behind this. And then if Hezbollah gets involved from Lebanon, they're on the north side of Israel, okay, then you have to do the same with Hezbollah. We don't want to commit U.S. troops to this, just like we're not committing U.S. troops. I'm talking about on the ground, boots on the ground. They're probably going to have to fight urban warfare, which is the worst kind of warfare to fight, okay?
Yeah.
For Americans, you might think back of what happened in Fallujah in Iraq and all the casualties that were taken there. It's absolutely the worst thing to do. But there are things that we can and should do to support them with regard to weapons, with regard to intelligence. We've now moved a carrier task force off the coast. That's got huge capabilities if we decide we want to use any of it. But let's just hope that this doesn't spread further. Let's hope that we don't get into a shooting match with Iran, because that would not be pretty. And obviously, the instability is going to have an impact on the markets. It's also going to have an impact on oil prices.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be good.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, which is one of the reasons in our other companies we are involved in that, by the way. So we like, hey,
I've got some positions in energy companies and oil, yeah.
Yeah, we got some more when you talk to our team later, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, I think that's a great point as far as a little bit of transition